Hello, my name is Chris Lukenbiel. I'm a faculty in the School of Geography and Development at the University of Arizona here in Tucson. With this lesson, I'm going to show you a method by which you could have your students create a tour of different aspects of the city or surrounding areas in which you teach using a free application called Google MyMaps. And as an example, we're going to make a tour of the murals of Tucson. Tucson has a number of different murals throughout its downtown, highlighting the region's culture, history, and southwestern flair and aesthetic. It's also been used by the city to help revitalize areas, to help reduce graffiti, and to support the arts and culture of the area. To use Google My Maps, the first thing that we need to do is to establish a Google account. This can be done by simply logging in, going to Google's homepage, and then clicking on the sign in. As you can see, I already have two accounts, a personal and a professional account, but you can also use another account and establish a new account in this manner. If parents are concerned about having their students or their children establish an account, they can also use their parents' account for this project. In this case, I will use my university account. So here I am logged into my Google account, and now we need to direct our web browser to Google My Maps. So I can simply do a search for My Maps and log in. So as we can see, I already have one untitled map present, but we want to create a new map. So what we begin by doing is just click on the Create a New Map button. And in this case, we're shown a number of different tools as well as a base map of the United States. You can zoom out and go to other regions of the world. But in our case, I'm going to focus on Tucson, Arizona. So I will go there. And I don't want to add a location point just yet. So I'm going to delete this layer. So what we see here with Google My Maps is that we work with different layers, and then we have different tools up here like select items, add markers, draw lines, add directions, as well as measure distance and directions. For our case, I'm actually going to work and show you a method by which you can use an Excel spreadsheet to do most of your geographic work and then import it into Google My Maps. For the purposes of creating a tour of murals of Tucson using Google My Maps, what I have done is to create an Excel spreadsheet of the location of the mural, the title and artist of the mural, the building name, and the direction on the building in which the mural is facing. To do this, I found using Excel to be a very useful tool. In this case, I had gone out in the field and taken pictures at these locations. While at these locations, I noted the address of where I was taking the picture. I could then look this location up on site using my phone and using Google Maps to record the address for the Excel spreadsheet. Let's take a closer look at the Excel spreadsheet. I've recorded the address, city, state, and zip code. This information provides the geographic location that Google My Maps will be able to use to geocode the mural's location to. I will show you in Google Maps how to obtain this information in a minute. The next bit of information that I recorded was the name of the artist and the title of the mural itself. I did this by doing some research online, which was fairly easy to do. Next, I recorded the building and the direction on the building in which the mural was facing. That information is probably extraneous to this project, and it was just something that was done for the purposes of another project, which I will show you at the end of the video. When you're using Google Maps on your phone, you can notice, as this picture shows, that a blue dot will appear telling you where you are located. It also shows you the direction or view in which you are looking. It was through using this information that I was able to obtain the addresses on site and even the direction on the building in which the mural faced. Doing the field work with a cell phone is a very useful way to collect data, especially images and geographic locations. I want to give you one example of two murals that we collected while on location, both relatively close to one another, and how I obtained the addresses. As we can see here on this map, we are close to North Stone Avenue and 6th Street in Tucson, Arizona. If we use our little guy down here and drag him over and drop him, we can see the blue lines light up showing areas where Google has photospheres and street views of. And we can actually see that there's a photosphere up by this building. Let's jump into that photosphere and see what we find. There is one of our posters of the epic rides on the side of a building. If I click the back button, I can zoom out. Using this, I can actually see and click on the building itself to get an address of the location. That's actually one of the buildings, but here if I just click here, I can actually see that we're around 600 North Stone, which would geocode to that location. A second building that was used was over here where it's Benjamin Plumbing and Supply at 6th and North 7th Street. So let's jump in there and take a look and see what that mural looks like. So we can see here on the side of the Tucson warehouse, we have another mural and its location. To obtain the location, I could actually just click on the street in front of the mural, and down here it would give me a location of 452 North 7th Street. These are how you can approximate the exact location of the murals and or objects that you are recording. The next step in processing the data to prepare it to enter into Google MyMaps is to have an association or a unique identifier that references the object, in this case the mural, to the Excel spreadsheet. This will help later so that you can place the object in its appropriate geographic location on MyMaps. So on the screen here we have both the Excel spreadsheet as well as a folder view of all the pictures of the different murals that I'm going to add to Google MyMaps Tour. If we look at the Excel spreadsheet again, we not only have the geographic identifiers of address, city, state, and zip code, but we also have the object identifiers of artist and title. Now in this case, I could use either one of these to reference the map or the object image if the artist is unique. If an artist has multiple murals, it would then become difficult. Because of that reason, I have selected the title to label the pictures on the map. So if we look over here, we should be able to see All Souls Procession, and in our list of locations, there should be one associated with All Souls Procession. There we are. We have the bike mural and the bike mural. Using this association, or this unique identifier, is one method of geocoding an object to its descriptive address on a map. So the processing and compilation of the data, the mural photos, and the Excel spreadsheet has now been completed. That is actually one of the larger parts of creating a MyMaps tour. The next part is actually making the map. So if we go back to Google Maps and we have our untitled map, we can see that the way that data is imported into the map is through layers. And Geographic Information Systems, or GIS, is all about understanding data through a series of layers. So the base map in this case is the Google base map of the world. And as you can see, we can actually change and choose different types of looking base maps as well, which you could have your students play with. So in this case, rather than adding individual data, I'm going to take my entire Excel spreadsheet and import it into this untitled layer. So I click on Import, and it says choose a file to import. In this case, you can drag an Excel spreadsheet, a KML file, and other types of files in here. So I'm going to drag my Excel spreadsheet and dump it into the imported file. Google Maps is able to read this file and the different columns of information. So now we can see why we've created a series of geographic file names as well as the mural unique identifier names. The first thing it says in the import is choose columns to position your place marks. This is the process of geocoding right now. Select the columns from your file that tell us where to place marks on the maps, such as addresses or latitude and longitude pairs. All columns will be imported, so we don't have to worry about losing other information. So we choose our geographic coordinate information, in this case the address, the city, the state, and the zip code. And these other information about the object or the murals on the map will also be imported. So let's hit continue. Choose a column to title your markers. Now in this case, I'm going to actually use the title for the murals, which is also why I titled the pictures themselves by the title of the murals. So that becomes our unique identifier to the objects. So a little bit of planning and foresight on how to create your tour can make it much easier when you go to import it. Let's hit finish and see what our map looks like. So now Google has imported all of our Tucson street mural maps. And you can see the title of the information here at the top is the title of the Excel spreadsheet. I don't want that to be the title, so I just clicked on it and I'm going to change the title to Tucson Murals. Now I have a nice looking title and actually fairly nice looking dots for the map. So now if we click on the dots, we can see that we actually will get pop-ups that include all the information that we had already encoded. One thing that is missing though is the pictures. And this is where we can go, and down here at the bottom we can do different things to the pop-ups. We can stylize them, as we can see here. We can edit them, so we can choose what to leave on and what to leave off. In this case, I might turn off this information and just leave the address, the artist name, the building, and the directions. Let's turn off the building and the directions. So we'll just have the artist name and the address. And this should do it for all of the different dots. So let's take a look at Frida and Diego and add a Frida and Diego picture. So if we go back to our folders and we look at our folders, we should have a Frida and Diego picture because we've now titled all of the pictures according to the mural titles. So let's drag that picture over and upload it into Google MyMaps and hit save. So now when we get a pop-up of Frida and Diego, we actually get a picture, the address, and the artist. To complete this, we would actually want to go through and add all the pictures for all of the different pop-ups. And I'll do a couple here to just show you what it looks like. Click Save, and so forth. Let's go in here and do one more. How about Borderlands? Bring Borderlands over, have it upload, get a nice Borderlands picture. There. So, in this way we can create a map tour for the students to actually show to class. Once we have created the map points and added the pictures to the points, we can begin stylizing and customizing the map. Now you might have noticed in the previous clip that I actually had an error message showing up. And the way that went away was that within the layer I can open up the data table and look at the data that I imported. And once I had opened that up and noticed that the data had a space over here, it had self-corrected. But this is also nice that you can do a find within the table if you're looking for a specific feature. You can see the addresses. You can actually change and correct the spellings of things as well. So do know about the attribute tables underneath the layer menu choices. Also within the layer, you can change the type of symbolization that's occurring. So right now we have single blue kind of Google looking points at these locations in a uniform style. So we can actually change it to represent different things. So if you want to have the students like show a sequential path from 1 to 2 to 3, you can actually change the type of symbolization that's going on. So notice that we could do sequential numbers, and then you'd actually have a numbered path, and I could order them maybe from north to south. I could change it to individual styles so that each one gets an individual style. And I can style by a specific column, maybe by the artist, if there was a lot of repeat of the same type. So that does give you some different choices here. Since mine didn't have a categorical distinction within murals that much, I'm going to leave them all uniform in this case. But notice that right now there's no label next to the points. And for this purpose, I'm actually just going to label them by the title of the murals themselves. So this is a very nice way to create some sort of symbolization associated with the pop-up points. The style of the point themselves can be changed by highlighting the point and then clicking on it, and then you can have different choices of color as well as symbolization. Now I like purple for this purpose. There's a lot of purple in the murals. But I could look at different types of icons. So under the more icons, depending on the theme that you're choosing, you could do shape icons, sports and recreation, places icons, transportation icons, crisis icons, weather icons, as well as animal icons. You can also customize some icons as well too by bringing in your own type of icon that you'd like, which you can make and be creative that way. In this case, we really don't have a unique look for them, and I think that just the simple points is good enough. So I will leave it at that. So I have the base map and the Tucson Murals. Next, the last thing I should probably do is to actually title my map something other than untitled map. So I'm going to give it a title of Tucson Murals. How about we do the murals of Tucson. The final step in the process of this exercise for the students would be to share the map with the teacher as well as to the class. We can see over here on the layer function where there is actually a share button. If we click on the share button, we can see that there's different privacy settings. So here I could change the privacy setting to anyone, public to the web, anyone with this link, no sign-in required. And then you won't see the University of Arizona ones. Those are just because I'm using my U of A account. I would recommend that students use the anyone with this link can view this map. This provides some level of security and access. And we can see here that I would just leave it as view and not as edit. But if you wanted to create a map that could be shared and also edited by multiple students, there is options for that. So the recommended setting for sharing within a class would be anyone with this link. And then they click Save. And then you can copy the link. You can also send an invite by sending the email. So in this case, you could have students send their link directly to the instructor. Or you could actually copy and paste the link into a web browser and use that. Students could also come to class with a computer present, log in using their Google account, go into MyMaps, and find their map. The Tucson mural map exercises using Google MyMaps was inspired by the city of Tucson, where they have recently created a mural map for their tours for the citizens and for people visiting Tucson to see. It can be found at https:/arcg.is/1i uppercase D uppercase X MM. The City of Tucson's Murals of Tucson, Cultural Legacy Through Contemporary Street Art, the newly released story map by the city, explores the vibrant street art of the greater downtown Tucson, Arizona. On this tour that they have created, you can actually see locations of where to find the murals, the actual description and a discussion about the murals and links to the artists, and little bits of tidbits of insight of what the meanings and how the murals came about. It's a great new resource for teachers in the Tucson area, and you will find many different new and older murals located from a variety of artists using a variety of perspectives that are all culturally enriched, enlightening, and thoughtful. So what I've shown you here today is a means by which to create a map tour based on a specific theme that could be done pretty much anywhere in the world. So students should be able to think broadly about different types of themes that they're interested in, and I would encourage them to think of it in their local environment. This way you could start thinking about subject matters that you've been dealing with in class, and you can encourage students to be able to start collecting locations and photos from those locations. This may seem difficult to the students at first, but with a little encouragement and a little bit of some ideas, I think that you'll find it very easy to do and to implement.